Okay.
Nice to meet you. See you later.
Right.
Okay, talk to me. Tell me what's happening.
Right. So, got a gorgeous little Sydney dachshund. He'll be 5 in May. He was a surprise gift for me. Neil bought him for a wedding anniversary present. We'd always talked about having dogs, and I didn't really want a dog, to be honest, because at the time I didn't think it was fair, because we didn't work from home at that point and we was at work, and I thought I'd love a dog, but maybe when we're a bit older. So I, cut a long story short, tried for children, didn't happen. So Neil thought, I'll get a dog that'll help me get over things. So bought Sydney, fell in love with him straight away. But as the years have gone on, he's become more and more challenging. And since we've had the children, so we're adopting 2 children, we're in the process of adopting them.
Okay, good stuff.
We've had issues with him before then, but they seem to have got worse now. The children have come along, so the children have been with us just over a year.
Okay.
So you know, it's a lot of change for Sydney. So he's always been, once he found his voice, he's always been a bit of a barker. We know that it's in the dachshund's nature to bark. It's funny, Neil got a dachshund and he didn't do any research on the breed, whereas I did. I bought him a Dachshund for Dummies book before we got Sydney, because I didn't know he was getting him. And he said, what about a dachshund? Because I said I didn't want a big dog. So it's ideal for me, and I love that he sits and has a cuddle on my lap. But anyway, we knew that he'd possibly be a barker, but he really is. Barks at everything and anything. So yeah, I've had 2 dog trainers round now to try and help with issues. The only one that has improved is his toileting.
Okay.
So we used to wee and poo in the house, but that's few and far between now, as long as we catch him, because he tells us now we know when he wants to go, because he'll go to the back door and he'll make a noise.
Okay.
So then we let him out, and we know now to reward him, because that's good behaviour, to go to the toilet outside. So that's been a real improvement, but nothing else has improved. And Neil has got to the point now, I think because of the lockdown as well and the children, it's just taken its toll on him, and he's very, very stressed. And Sydney does stress me out as well. But I love him so much, I don't ever want to get rid of him. But Neil would be quite happy to at this moment in time. He said, as much as he loves him to bits, but he would get rid of him because he can't cope with the stress. It's just another stress in our lives we don't need, because we've got 2 children that have sometimes challenging behaviours. So add Sydney to the mix, it makes for a very stressful life at the minute. So that's us really.
Talk to me a little bit about your children's challenging behaviour. What kind of challenging behaviour we're talking there?
So they have meltdowns where they will, especially our little boy, he's 4, he will be 5 in July. They're both a little bit emotionally behind, emotionally delayed. So Rico plays this yes/no game at bedtimes usually. So he says he wants something, so you go to do that thing that he wants, and then he says, no, I don't want it. And we can be playing this game to the point where he will start to cry and he won't stop for over an hour, which then makes Sydney really stressed and bark constantly for an hour, which then, when you've got a crying child and a screaming child and Sydney downstairs, it's challenging. We've had occasions where both of them start. So our daughter Poppy might have a meltdown. Same thing, if she doesn't get her own way, she'll then start to scream and cry, and then stresses Sydney out. And as much as I have to put the children first, I also think of Sydney, and I'm like, right, Neil, leave this to me. You go downstairs and comfort Sydney, pick him up and hold him, try and stop him from getting stressed, go and take him out. So I make Neil take Sydney away from the situation because I don't think it's fair on him. So yeah, that's a real problem. And also because Rico's quite short for his age, Sydney does jump up at him a lot. And it's also a nightmare when we're having dinner. Sydney will want to jump up at Rico at the chair. So on the advice of the previous dog trainers, we've got a little cage that's in the kitchen, and he eats when we eat, and we keep things separate just to try and keep a bit of peace.
Yeah.
So that's how it works. So when the children have breakfast in the morning, Sydney has his breakfast. When we have our dinner in the evening, Sydney has his dinner. So, and it keeps everything peaceful for a little while.
Brilliant. Yeah, no, but it's really good. It's really good to hear that as well, because you know he's not able to repeat the behavior, so he's in a different place. He's doing his own thing, which he's going to enjoy because he's having his dinner, and actually give your kids and you a bit of a rest as well. Yeah, so they're good things. So that's all good. What is it that you and Neil do for a living?
So I'm a graphic designer, so I do magazines. So I've got deadlines every month, and Neil's an engineer. So yeah, we're both full time. I would have liked to have gone part time, but I was furloughed just as I was about to start back. I had 6 months adoption leave, and just as I was about to start back, COVID happened and I got furloughed, which was a blessing, really. But then when I was asked to come back, I didn't have a choice. They needed me back full time, and I didn't want to lose my job. Hence why we're both full time and juggling the hours between us both to accommodate the children. So it's working okay.
Absolutely. Okay. And in terms of like adoption wise, is that kind of going to plan, or is that another stress on top as well, or where are you with that?
So it's gone to court. It's had the first hearing, it's had the second hearing because Mum opposed the adoption. And so now it's going to go to final hearing in March. But there's no issues there. We know that they'll be staying here. They've been with us over a year, so we know that they're not going anywhere. So we just want everything to be a bit more calmer, happier for the children. I mean, Sydney loves the children, and he does try and get involved and play, and they love him to bits as well and don't want to be without him. But you know, I never let him be with them on their own. There's always me or Neil there, because I don't, with any dog, you just don't know. And children like to put their faces in dogs' faces, and I keep telling them don't do that, because you just don't know. But he's never bitten them. I mean, he's clawed where he's jumped up at them. To try and, you know, play or whatever he's doing it for. So it would be just nice for the children to be themselves and be able to not scream, but to be able to laugh and play and play with their toys and not have him barking at everything. They can't even go out in the garden and play with certain toys because he's barking. We don't know, is he barking because he doesn't like the noise? Is it because he doesn't like the way it looks? Is it because he wants to join in? You know, we don't know that.
And like, I know you say, I mean, he's nearly near enough 5 now. So has he always barked? Has he barked from like is he a born barker, or has he kind of developed over time?
Developed over time, but as a puppy, it took him quite a while to hear his first little bark. But he's always barked, not when we left the house, but when we came back, and you'll hear him because they're going to be back before we finish our consultation. So you'll hear what we have to deal with. And he will, if you imagine 3 people coming in, you've got to wait for those 3 people to get their coats off, to get their shoes off, to say hello before he stops barking. So you've got this loud bark for 2-3 minutes. Constant. So it's quite anyone ringing the doorbell, that's it, he goes and he runs to we've got a gate up, so he runs to see the front door and he's bark, 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 bark. Yeah, so that's quite stressful.
Okay.
But we've noticed that he's starting to, when we leave to go out in the morning, or whenever we leave to go out, he starts his barking.
Okay, the same kind of barking as what he does when you come in the house, or a different type?
I think it's the same.
Yeah.
So,
The same loud, kind of deep loud.
yeah, sort of gets to you after a while.
Yeah. Okay. So talk to me a little bit about the past training that you've done. So I know you mentioned on your form that you went to puppy school with him. You went to puppy training. What did you learn in puppy training?
So recall, although he's never really got that. Just little tricks where you can make him wait for food. So you'll show him it in the palm of your hand, then you'll close your hand, and you'll put it down, and you'll go wait, and he'll sort of shuffle back, and then you tell him that it's okay for him to eat, and he'll eat. So he plays little tricks like that.
Okay.
Sit up and lay down, you can do. Then he did like a little agility thing at the end, weaving in and out of combs, and
Okay.
I'm trying to remember now.
It's been quite a while ago, isn't it? About nearly 5 years ago.
I don't always retain everything.
That's fun.
So yeah, we've never really, the only way, so recall, if he goes out into the garden and he starts barking, which he more often than not does, which annoys the neighbours, he's not as bad as he used to be. But if we say, do you want some cheese? Because he knows what cheese is, he loves cheese, he'll do anything with cheese. He'll come in if he can see or smell it, we'll hear it rattling in the box. So that's his recall, really. Do you want some cheese? And he'll come back. But,
Okay.
I personally never let him off the lead, because I don't trust that he'll always come back. I just think one day he might see something he wants and he'll be off. So I'm nervous. Neil has been out and let him off the lead, but I just can't do it. I'd love to be able to do it and know that when I say come back, he'll come back, but I don't trust that he will.
Okay.
So Neil's a bit more confident than me.
Okay. And you mentioned you had another couple of trainers around as well. One to do with his toilet training, getting him to toilet outside, is that?
Yes, that worked. That was successful. And to try with the barking, and he said that it would take many, many hundreds of repetitions for him to stop barking. He said you would reward him when he stops barking, but once he starts, he's not stopping. It's very hard once he goes to stop him. Then we had the lady that did the puppy training. She came round to do with his barking as well. This was before the man came round.
Okay.
And she was our puppy trainer.
Yep.
She described his levels of, I don't know, like a bucket, half full out, half empty. I can't remember, but similar sort of thing. If he gets to a point where he's gone over the top of the bucket, it's spilling over, then it's too late. But to try and but I couldn't get it into my head, and what she was explaining to try wasn't working. And she's brilliant. She's a lovely lady, and her mum, she runs the company with her mum, and her mum used to look after Sydney doggy daycare on a Tuesday, because I used to drop him off on a Tuesday so he could socialise with other dogs and have some fun and not be on his own, because I don't like leaving him on his own for more than 4 or 5 hours, 5 at a push. So I don't think it's fair. So they're a nice family. Everyone's got different ways of training. So far, the toileting has worked, but the barking, neither of them. Yeah, it's not working.
Okay. So what have you been doing to resolve his barking?
So we've been trying. You're probably not going to like me saying this, but
Yeah.
we've been watching that dog's behaving badly.
The purpose of the consultation, it's about being honest. So whatever you say, it's between me, you, and Neil anyway. So it's not going to go anywhere. You can literally say the most hideous thing to me that you want. Whatever's going off, it doesn't matter. It's about just that honesty. Just that I can figure out where Sydney may currently be. But you've
One
been
thing we won't do is he's never been smacked ever. We never
Good
hit
stuff.
him, anything like that. So we've watched this dog's behaving badly because I was trying to get Neil before I'd booked you. I'd found you, see, and I wanted to book you. I wanted him to watch this program to say, look, Sydney really isn't that bad when you look at these other dogs. But we picked up a few things that have been sometimes working, sometimes not. Is when he starts to bark, we say no in a firm voice. And when he stops, we say good and stroke him. Bit hit and miss, but it has been improving it ever so slightly.
Okay.
In certain situations, for example, unloading and loading the dishwasher, but you have to keep doing it. So he won't just know that's it. You have to keep going.
Yeah.
So, it could take you quite a while to unload the dishwasher. Saying no and stroking him after you put one spoon in.
That 10-minute job's taking you 4 hours to do.
Yeah, and you've got a dishwasher to save time, haven't you, really? You're not at the sink. Well, I'd rather be bloody at the sink at the minute.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So that one, does it feel like it's working to you?
Ever so slightly in certain situations, but not in all. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's perseverance. Yeah, he's yes, it has a little tiny bit, but not with everything. Yeah, be honest.
Okay. What else have you tried?
Rewarding him when he is quiet, but perhaps not rewarding him as often as we should, so that he associates being quiet with food. But do they associate being quiet with food, as a reward, or do they think if I start barking and then I stop, will I get food? If you see what I'm trying to say.
I do. I see exactly what you're trying to say there. So they do something and they think, oh, I'm going to get a reward for this. So I stop and then I go and get the reward. And then I go back to the barking.
Yeah. So I think Sydney's cotton on to that because he'll do anything for food. And
Okay.
I think it's like we've got some new dining room chairs, new table, and he's jumping up at the chairs. And I was panicking to start with. I thought, the new chairs I don't want to ruin because he has ruined our sofa and the throws, he's chews. So I'm probably going off on a tangent
No,
here,
it's
but
fine.
when he gets himself in a state, say if we've raised our voice, we use our outdoor voice to the children, he starts barking. As soon as you're telling the children off, he starts to bark, and then he goes to the sofa and he goes on the throw. We've had to put throws on them, and he chews them and shreds them and bites them, as if to say, I'm stressed here. This is what I'm going to do. So if we shout or make a noise, he'll run to the dining room chair sometimes and jump up at them. And he knows that we don't want him to do that. So I sometimes panic and think, right, I've got to get him something. I'll throw some treats in the kitchen to get him away and lock him in the kitchen. That's what I'm finding I'm having to do to stop him doing those behaviours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what concerns me is we're getting a new sofa. So at the moment, he's got a little ramp where he comes up and down because we like to have cuddles on the sofa. Yeah. But we're not sure what we're going to do when the new sofa comes because we don't want that shredded.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay.
So yeah, a bit concerned about that, but it's not all about that. It's about, making sure he's not getting stressed so that he's doing these destructive things.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's why he's doing them, because he's stressed.
It sounds very much like, so he's picking up on what's happening. So if you're using your outdoor voices, that's the raise of your voice. Likely your face will probably change because you're thinking, I'm using my outdoor voice for a reason.
Yeah.
He's picking up on that. He's thinking, right, he's probably taking on a role that you don't need him to have. So that's why he's coming over to the kids, jumping up, and
Yeah,
as if
like he's protecting us. Is that what he's doing?
it's likely that he's trying. He almost doesn't necessarily know that he doesn't need to do that. And then as soon as you're saying, go away, we don't need you to be involved, and he's like, well, yeah, I'm kind of a bit stressed now, and that's probably why he's going to chew. So chewing is a self-soothing, self-calming behavior. Okay, so although we do want chewing, we do want soothing behaviors, not necessarily with your furniture.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Does he like chew chunks off it, or does he just chew it? Does he chew it and swallow it, or just chew holes in it?
Oh, chews holes in it. He doesn't ever swallow, but yeah, he's really, it shreds things. Yeah, makes big holes and goes for it.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Okay.
Little monkey, but he's so cute. Always so gorgeous.
Okay. So.
Can I say he's a little shit sometimes?
Yeah, of course you can. Mine is as well. Don't worry. We wouldn't be dachshund owners otherwise if they didn't have their moments. But yeah,
everybody loves Sydney. Everybody loves him and thinks he's so cute. And I thought, well, you try living with him, you wouldn't think he was as cute as he. Yeah, he makes me up. But yeah,
okay.
all the neighbours love him, and
apart from the ones he's barking at.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very lovable.
So in terms of like when you go out on a walk and stuff like that, how does he behave out on a walk?
It can vary. So we took him yesterday. I wanted to leave him because I wanted a good walk, and I thought, how's he going to be? So it's a bit hit and miss. Yesterday he was brilliant. We was out for 2 hours, and when Neil was holding him, he was almost dragging him. I said, please don't drag him. I said, let me have him at the back of you so that he can follow. And he seems better when he's behind and following. And sometimes he gets a right little trot on, and you can see he's enjoying himself. But there'll be occasions where Neil will have to drag him out. Like he took him at lunchtime. Depends what mood he's in. He's not interested in moving, and it's hard work. And one of the reasons Neil wanted a dog is because he envisaged these nice country walks and, enjoying a lovely walk. And, we've got a dog that sometimes likes to walk and sometimes doesn't, but he's only got little legs, and I'm sure they don't need much exercise, do they, anyway? As long as they get, is it half an hour a day, I think?
As long as they get an enrichment, as long as they ultimately, if the walk is so stressful that it's causing them stress, then give them something else to do.
Yeah, it's not worth it. But yeah, he has his moments. So, but yeah, we've taken him on some long walks, and he's been okay.
Okay.
He was bushed yesterday. He fell asleep as soon as we got in.
I bet, after having 2 hours out. And how does he kind of respond if he sees another dog?
So met several dogs yesterday. Generally, he's quite friendly with other dogs. He's not aggressive at all. And there was 2 dogs that came up to him. One had a good sniff, a little dog. I don't know what breed he was. And then there was another big collie dog, and the collie dog laid in front of Sydney and rolled on his back. Because he was, generally he's not aggressive towards any of the dogs, and he's not scared of big dogs. So on the whole, he's brilliant with other dogs. If they start to go, then obviously he'll be a bit wary. I wouldn't say he was a cat or a squirrel fan, but other dogs.
They're on the hit list.
Yeah. He's had a few birds before in the garden. He's quite quick, very quick. So, but on the whole, he's all right with the dogs. So that's
okay.
Plus.
So any barking when he's out on walks?
Generally not. No, he doesn't bark. No,
Okay.
wouldn't say. Only if he feels threatened by another dog that starts to bark, then I
Yeah.
think he does. But see, Neil tends to walk him more than I do. I do the family walks, but Neil will go out in the evening and take him
Okay.
if he doesn't manage to take him in the day. So, because I don't get enough time, because of my hours, I only have half an hour, and
Okay.
that's not long enough for me to eat and
And take the dog out, and then sort everything else out as well.
That's it. So
Yeah.
Neil usually takes him.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Interacting with people. So if you met someone out on a walk they didn't know, how would he respond?
He loves everybody. He loves people. He always wants to stop. He'll stop and turn around and wait for them to come along. Very, very friendly. I've only known him once, maybe twice, to not like somebody. Whether, I think it's because they had a hat on or something. But he loves walking around Stamford, near us. Just loves people. Loves being fussed. He'll let children come up and he'll roll over to have a tummy tickle. Yeah, he just loves. He gets so excited with some of the neighbours that he's familiar with. He just gets really excited, and he almost does like a cry type, because
Okay.
he's that excited, and he won't stop until they give him a stroke.
Attention. Okay.
Attention,
Okay.
yeah, and that's one of the things I'm not keen on him doing, is jumping up, because not everybody
Yeah.
likes me. And a few people have been round and he's jumped up, and they don't really like it. They're not a fan.
Yeah.
So I'd rather he didn't do that.
Okay. And does he do that will he do that out and about with people he doesn't know, the jumping up, or is that exclusively in the house as well?
Yeah, I think that's mainly in the house, the jumping up.
Okay.
No, but if we're out, he'll sort of look and wait to see if they'll give him attention.
And then when
But
he
he
gets
doesn't.
that glimmer that they're going to give him attention, he's like, it squeaks.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay. So people coming into the house. So I know you mentioned about when obviously the family come into the house and he loses his mind because he's like, whoa.
Yeah.
And when strangers come into the house, so if somebody comes in that isn't particularly bothered about dogs, what's his response to them?
He'll do the same thing. He wants
Okay.
the attention, so he'll keep going until he gets a fuss, I think.
Okay.
Or we'll pick him up and they'll say hello, and then once they've said hello, he's okay. He's
Okay.
almost saying, "No, don't forget me. Give me some fuss, and then I'll be quiet." He does. Yeah. He just likes anybody that comes in the house, I think.
Okay. And then, so if that visitor comes in and goes and sits on your sofa, what's his response then?
Jumping up.
Up on the sofa?
Yeah, because he wants to sit on their knee. Now, my dad's very standoffish and bit of a funny character. But that's another story. He's not a massive dog lover.
Okay.
And I say to my dad, because he keeps jumping up at him, I say, "Dad, just give him some attention, just stroke him on the head and he'll leave you alone, he'll stop." And it takes my dad ages to even acknowledge him. And he'll keep jumping up at my mum or my dad because he wants more attention. Assuming that's what he wants. So, but he will keep jumping up.
Okay, so he keeps going until he gets the attention or until he gets bored?
Either or, I think. Sometimes if you ignore him, he does eventually stop.
Okay.
Or when he's been fussed. Yeah.
Okay.
So,
and how long are we talking? So if he makes his own decision that he's not going to get any attention, how long can we be talking? So mum and dad have come round for a nice cup of tea, sitting on your sofa, suddenly starts to jump up.
yeah, I usually try and I'll try and pick him up and put him on me so that he doesn't annoy, because I can see my dad getting annoyed. I don't like my dad getting annoyed. So I think, right, I'll pick him up. so I don't tend to leave him to do that for very long. So
Okay.
so I don't give him chance to get bored, really.
Okay. When he comes over to you, how does he respond to that?
So he doesn't come over. I usually pick him up. But say of an evening, if I'm doing something on the sofa where I'm like ordering something on, and he's jumping up, and I haven't got the ramp there, and I'm thinking I just want to finish this, go and see Daddy or whatever. He'll keep jumping and jumping, and I'll then be firm and say no. But he can keep jumping and jumping until he's distracted to stop. So until Dad says come and sit with me, or until I'm really firm and say no,
Okay.
he'll keep jumping up.
Okay.
You feel sorry for him, so and then I stop doing what I'm doing, pick him up.
Okay. 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 So in terms of his barking, now I'm going to ask you some questions around punishment-based things. You've already mentioned that you don't smack him or anything like that, so that's fine. Have you ever used any like water sprays or any rattles to stop him smoking? To stop him barking. I'm going to say speaking. I don't know.
God, I don't want to add smoking to the mix.
Don't put that one in. No.
Spray we have tried, because next door had 2 dogs, and whenever Sydney went out and their 2 dogs were out, it would be the 3 of them barking at each other. It was a nightmare. She suggested spraying with water, and I think we did try it, but it didn't always work. Now, I don't agree with this, and I will tell you this. Neil bought, probably about 2-3 months ago, because he was at the end of his tether with Sydney, someone suggested he tried one of those fobs that have got the sound, a pitch sound on it.
Okay.
I didn't agree with it, and I said no, I don't want to use it anyway.
On a collar?
No.
Or
He
just
doesn't
on
have a collar. Yeah, he doesn't have a collar. He has a harness. I don't like collars round. That's just me. I prefer him with a harness.
Okay.
So he's, it's one of those, like an alarm thing, little electronic device that you press, and it lets off a height that they can only hear.
Yeah.
And you're only meant to press it for 30 seconds or less. Anyway, it didn't work, so I'm quite pleased.
Not a bad thing.
Yeah, I said I'm quite pleased it didn't work, because I don't agree with them anyway. But I think he just got to the point, because I said to him, I'm going with Sydney. He said, oh, we have to get rid of Sydney. I said, well, I'm going. So I'm not, he's not going anywhere. So that's when he got that. He was just desperate, I think.
Okay. And in terms of like training wise, so there's obviously a great need that some training needs to happen, which I think obviously this is the reason I'm here. Are you and Neil on the same hymn sheet? Are you on the same page of training?
How we discipline him, or how we train him, or is that what you
Both.
mean?
Yeah, both.
And I've been trying to say to Neil, when you say no, you need to say it in the same way that I say it. He sometimes goes, no. And I'll say, don't sing it, just say no. Because you can't have one saying no and the other one going, no. Mixed signals.
Yeah.
So Neil, he's harder work, because you have to keep reminding him to do things in a certain way. And I'll be nagging him, like with the toilet training. I say, you need to get out, you need to be out there and watch him do it, and reward him straight away. There's no good letting him out, not watching him wee and poo, and then rewarding him when he comes in. Because what are you rewarding him for? So you need to do it there and then, so he knows.
Yeah.
So whenever I see him wee or poo, I'll say, good boy, so he knows straight away.
Brilliant. Okay. And then in terms of the way that you so obviously Neil's obviously at the end of his tether. That's very evident that I can hear you saying that, and it seems that you are as well. So obviously this box has arrived, which is it's an aversive, so it's not a force-free punishment, because it's reliant on either fear or pain. And you're obviously saying that you weren't happy about that. So I think what I'm trying to say is that if I set something for you guys to do, are you both going to do it?
He will do it.
He will do it because you'll tell him to.
I'll make him do it. Because it's me that's paid for this. It's not about the money, but
Yeah.
it's and I want him, and I'll say to him, you need to help me. It's not just down to me.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
the children, and I've said to him, you know, I'm working full time, you're working full time.
Yeah.
It's not just down to me to do everything. So we share, and he is good like that, to be fair. We share things.
That's good.
It'll take a bit of time.
Yeah.
But
Okay. That's fine.
what I'm going to do is, you know, because we're doing this over 8 weeks, aren't we?
Yeah, we've got 8 weeks. So what we can do is we can do like the 4 sessions over 8 weeks.
Yeah. Is
So
that okay? What I'd like to do is get Neil to do some as well.
Yeah.
So it's not just me, because then that shows me that he's committed to making this work. Because at the moment, I still think he's a bit, you know, I'll be honest with you, it took me, I kept showing him the reviews that you were getting. Look at this, and it's taken a while for him to say, give it a go. But he's saying to me, if this doesn't work, that's it. So
We'll get him there. Don't worry.
hopefully,
We'll get it.
because I'll be leaving with Sydney otherwise.
Does he know the consequences that he's going to have 2 kids and no dog? No.
Yeah.
Okay. So
I mean it.
The biggest issues that I've like written down as we've been going. So barking is obviously the one that's like the biggest. It seems the biggest.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So we've got barking at the doorbell, barking at the children, barking when you're preparing food, barking when you're unloading the dishwasher, and then you've got the jumping. So jumping at the dinner table, jumping at the children, jumping at visitors, basically jumping because he can jump. And then you've got when you use your outside voices, him getting upset about it and obviously taking to destroying your sofa. Okay. So there's 3 different areas, but obviously there's kind of multiples with absolutely, yeah, that's why I do what I do. This is nothing compared to, you know, previous job I was a police officer, so this is so we've got obviously the barking at numerous different things within the house. We've got the jumping up at, again, it's all very much around the house as well, so that's kind of its own area. And then we've got the calming stuff, so helping him to understand what you want him to do. Now there is going to be a bit of overlap in some of the techniques that we use, but they will all, like combined, they will all work together, if that makes sense. So if you imagine like lots of different parts, use a jigsaw. That's always a good one to use. So a jigsaw, so we've got the edges because we know what the issues are, and then now we're just going to start putting the pieces in. So each element will work alongside another. And sometimes what we find is that some of the techniques will work and they'll work really fast, and they're really you know, that's it, the problem doesn't appear to be there. I wouldn't say quick fix, because often what happens is that we go, oh yeah, that's really working, and then a few times later then it's kind of not quite working how it was. So then what we'll do is we'll just look to change and just tweak things. But I'll give you the techniques to practice. I'll show you how to practice them, have a practice with them. We'll get you to take some videos of your training as well, so we can see what is happening. And is it, you know, is it that combination of you're saying no and Neil's going no? Is it that, or is there something else? Does he know what to do? This is Sydney, not Neil. Is Sydney understanding what it is that we want from him? So we always look to teach them first what we want them to do before we get them to then practice it. Okay. Like with anything. So, and I use children as an example. So you wouldn't expect a child to be a managing director of a company having not gone through school first. Yeah. Okay.
Could I just mention one thing I didn't mention? I did mention when I had the last dog trainer. I also worry that we're not stimulating him enough. That are we playing with him enough? Are we walking him enough? Is he using his brain
Mhm,
enough?
mhm,
Could that be why
mhm.
he's bored?
Yeah,
That's another thing I thought I'd mention to you.
yeah. Okay, so we can put in there. We can put boredom in there. So boredom will go with some of the calming. So calming is about him having an outlet to do something that he enjoys to do.
Yeah.
So a bit like sensory for younger kids.
Yeah.
So having things that he can go and explore and he can go and do that he enjoys doing, that he doesn't need to interact that much with everybody else or anyone else that's coming in. Okay, so where do we start? Where would you like to start? What would you say is the biggest one for you?
Barking, definitely.
Barking. Yeah.
Barking is
Okay.
huge issue.
Okay. So barking, does he have access to like windows or doors? Is he barking outside at anything, like landing in the garden, anything like that? Any noises outside of the house?
Yes, so if he hears next door, because she's a lovely lady and Sydney loves Doris next door. If he hears her voice out the front, 'cause she's very loud, she's quite a vocal lady, um, he will bark because he's heard her voice.
Mhm.
If he hears another, like last night, there was a very loud bark from a dog out the front that woke him up and he started to bark. Yeah, if the children are out in the garden playing with their toys, he'll bark. Yesterday I was sweeping the back garden. He saw me, started barking. So yeah, he barks at almost everything really.
Okay. And what kind of access has he got? So when your children are outside playing in the garden or when you're outside sweeping in the backyard, what access does he have to see? Have you got like glass doors at the back and
Yeah, patio doors, so you can see out into the garden. If it gets too much, the barking, we'll put him in the kitchen where he can't see. He can still hear though. So he can still hear, but he can't see, and he'll still bark if he can hear certain noises. So if he hears them laughing and crying, whatever.
Okay. Okay. So the first thing we're going to look at is why he's barking. Okay. So it goes without saying. So dogs use barking to communicate. Sorry, I don't know if you just heard that. I think that's my cat's tummy was. I don't know where he is. He's around somewhere. He's ever so loud. So when the dogs are barking, they are communicating. So they use barking as a form of communication for lots of different reasons. Now, if another dog is barking in an area, it may be that they're just communicating between one another, and ultimately we've got no idea what they're saying. So sometimes there are going to be times when we just go, right, yeah, okay, we know exactly what he's barking at. It's fine. He's going to have a little bark, and then that's it. It will be done with. Okay. Sometimes they're barking to alert us. So alerting us to a noise, alerting us to something that they can see visually. So it may be the neighbour that's out the front. It might be the children playing in the garden. It might be you. It might be the brush that you've got rather than the actual sweeping.
Yeah.
They can bark for frustration. So they can bark because they're frustrated. They can bark because they're worried. They can bark because they're scared and kind of on that scared, fearful spectrum. They can bark because they want our attention. So I think you can see what was happening here, can't you? There's like a whole twisty story of
barking when he's barking.
yeah. Okay, so ultimately what we have to remember is that they were bred for barking and they were bred to go and chase small furries with their handler / hunter above ground so they could bark really loud to get dug out. Okay, they'd also be barking when they were on that chase as well. So you would have dogs up the front who would be leading, you'd have dogs in the middle who were following the leaders, and then you'd have the dogs at the back that were like, not really that bothered about this, but I'll go anyway because everyone else is going and I'm kind of just going to get myself there. Now, if we put that into the context of where you've described Sydney is, so Sydney's not bothered about walk. He likes to linger behind you. He'll walk at his own pace. So he's definitely a back dog. Okay, he's not bothered about being up front. And often what happens is the dogs that are behind or the dogs that are in the middle, they take on the role of being up front when the truth of the matter is that they can't actually cope with it. So then we see really heightened behavior. So we see behaviors that they're taking on the role that they don't need to take on. So currently, Sydney's barking at everything and anything to let you know that something's there, because he doesn't know how else to communicate with you. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah. So we have a few techniques that we're going to look at doing. Now, you're obviously not going to be able to do them until he is barking, but I'm going to talk you through them and show you what's happening. But I just first want to go through this. Can you see this on the board behind me? This triangle.
Triangle, yeah.
Yeah. So when you,
yeah,
and then it's all fuzzed out. Okay. So when you mentioned about the other trainer that had explained about a bucket, yeah, and that when stress goes in the bucket, that it fills up and fills up and fills up, and then eventually they tip over. Okay, so we use, it's basically the same principle, but it's just on a triangle instead. So at the bottom here, we've got number 1.
Can I just warn you, you might not, hang on, I think Neil has arrived. I'm just gonna.
It's gonna go nuts, is that what you're gonna say?
Yeah. Do you want to hear the barking? Would that help you?
If you want to go and take this down and then just have me have the screen there, yeah, it will definitely show me what he's doing and what the response is to him as well.
So it's started already.
I can hear him.
I'm not even in the house. Can you see him?
There he is.
Go. Good.
Hello. Hello, Rico. Hello.
Right. So I'm just going to go and carry on my conversation. Yeah, he doesn't like that. Right. So, and he's still going until Neil picks him up or gives him some. Still going.
Okay. And is that the kind of barking that you're getting most of the time?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Still going.
I used to wear headphones when I first started doing this.
Did you?
Soon got rid of them.
Did that help at all?
I'd be like this. Yes, it does, because I can see from his body language is basically he's actually quite relaxed. So he's quite, although he's quite pumped, he's not like saying open this gate for me now. What he's almost saying is hello, don't forget to come and greet me, I'm here. Okay, so you mentioned down there that he doesn't like a bag.
Yeah, he's the children's school bags, the lunch boxes in their bags. He barks at those. So it's because they've all come up now to get changed, so they get changed into their pajamas now, so they can relax. Usually till I finish work, and then I shower them. But he'll stop when they go back down.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
He's quiet now. Okay.
But we find we have to be quiet when we're up here.
Because any noise sets him off.
It sets him off, yeah. So,
okay.
Anyway, I thought I'd show you how he.
Yeah, no, that it's good, because then
it can be worse than that.
And then I can see exactly what's happening. It may have been not as bad because you were actually down there and he was thinking, what are you doing down here as well? You're not normally here. So there was something different for him. Okay, So just going back slightly, so we mentioned about the stress bucket. So mine's the stress triangle. Okay, so on number 1, that's where he's nice, calm, relaxed, almost asleep. He's really, really paying attention to what you want him to do, and he's very much on your every word. Okay. Then we have number 2. So number 2 is when certain things have stressed him out. So the point that he's currently at. So he went from here when he was downstairs, you were upstairs, and as soon as he heard that car pull onto the drive, then he's come to here, and then he's in this uncontrollable stage here because no amount of asking him to do anything he can do. He's, that's where he's kind of losing his mind a bit, whether that's a bag or whether it's a person or whether it's jumping up. These things that are happening around here are uncontrollable things, so he can't control himself at the moment. And what we need to do is be able to keep him in these 2 to help him.
Yeah.
Okay.
It more often than not goes from 1 straight up to the top.
Yeah.
Without,
like that.
The chance to
stop.
Try and do something.
Yeah. So what things can stress our dogs out? So you might be surprised. So there's good stressors and there's bad stressors. And when I'm talking about stress, I'm talking about his hormones peaking. So he's getting either excited or he's getting stressed. Now there is a crossover with some of those as well. So sometimes our dogs can be stressed but use like calming signals to calm themselves down, and sometimes they can be excited and use the same calming signals to calm themselves down as well. So there is a slight difference on both sides. But things that can stress our dogs can be having their dinner. Okay, so it puts a stress on the body when they're eating. Okay, then we have people coming into the room, so that could be a stress on there. Now we know that somebody coming into the room, he's up here already. Yeah, someone coming into the house, he's up here already. Somebody talking outside is up here already. So we know that we haven't got much to go, but we know that there is actually a big gap in between there and there. So we have got a lot here that we can play around with. We just need to help him realize that he can play with a lot more before he goes to these behaviors. Okay, does that make sense? Yeah. So sometimes we might see, so these are just examples of dogs and the way that they may behave. So sometimes the dog's lead comes out and they get super, super excited. Okay. And what's happening is all the time they're pushing up until they can't actually cope, and then they're overflowing. Okay. So the lead might come out and they might go outside onto a walk. As soon as they walk outside, the environment, so that everything that they can see, smell, hear, is just too much. And then any dog that they come across, they might bark at, or in Sydney's case, it may be that he's actually shutting down a little bit. It may be that it's too much for him. And rather than having that outward, wah, he's almost like, oh, actually, just want to make myself look quite small, and I'm not going to interact too much. But if I see someone, I might come out of my shell, and I quite like them, and I'm quite interested in them. Okay, so we have to find that balance, and every dog is individual, so they all have their own personalities, they all have their own ways about doing stuff. Now, what's interesting about this is that we have the good stressors and the bad stressors. So it's a fine line. Now, all of the things that you're saying are happening in the house, bar say the children that are playing outside. So the main stuff that we're going to be dealing with is in the house. And if our dogs are getting stressed and taking on roles that they don't need to have, often they will be working at a higher level, as in more high alert than what we need them to. So we need to just let them know it's okay for them to be at this level, rather than creeping up and going from there to there in a split second. Okay, is that all making sense?
It's making a lot more sense than the bucket analogy she used, the other trainer.
Yeah,
so, it's different way of the way you've explained it. I can understand.
And it's just different principle. It's the same method. It's the same, basically saying that he gets over the top because of X, Y, and Z. Okay, so putting it into like a human context, you set your alarm in the morning, your alarm doesn't go off. So you start here when you first wake up, the alarm goes off. The alarm doesn't go off, so that adds to your stress. Then you get in the car, you realise you've got a flat tyre, so that puts you onto this line here. and then somebody bumps into the back of you, so that puts you at 2, and then your boss rings you and gives you a mouthful because you're late for work, and then by that point the first person you speak to is then going to get everything because you've just lost it, whether you start crying or whether you're angry, whichever way round. It's either a good stress or it's a bad stress. But that's in essence, that's what's happening with our dogs. And sometimes we might lose our temper and then start crying, and sometimes it's the same for our dogs as well. So they might go "Rah," and then actually they're like, oh, I need to go and calm myself down now. So thinking of when Sydney's at the table, when you're using your outside voices, that he's able to pick up on that, because he's like, whoa, something's going off here. I need to step in, I need to do something here. So then he starts barking. So he's gone from potentially around here, I would probably put that, to up here. Okay, and then he's trying to bring himself back down. That's really helpful. One of my neighbours right across you see that flash?
Yeah.
It's a is it a Velux window on their roof?
Yeah.
Like a skylight, and they're just opening it and closing it. They're obviously letting something out or letting something in, I'm not sure what. And it just keeps flashing straight out after. It's actually quite far away from me as well. So
not an SOS, is it?
Well, hope not. So when he's up at this level and then he's going to go and chew on the sofa, he's actually bringing himself back down.
So that's his way of calming himself. And I did say that to Neil, because I did read, I did a bit of, I was thinking, why is he chewing? Why do dogs chew? But it is a comfort thing. All dogs chew, don't they? They like to chew because it helps them. But then it can be because they're stressed that they chew.
Absolutely, yeah. So a dog that's stressed may chew everything and anything. A dog that's trying to calm, and that's where I was saying that there's an overlap between those stress things and the calming signals. So it can be both. It can be that he feels stressed because he feels like he's taken on the role, but then he needs to calm down. But because of the stress, he's then calming himself down. So it can get a bit too technical. But if we just remember that actually, why is he chewing? And it's probably one of two things. He's either stressed and he's calming himself down, or he's just calming himself down. Either way, he's going to be releasing hormones into his body, which will be calming hormones. So whichever way around it, whatever reason it's for, that's going to be processing into his body. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to look at doing, so we're going to get rid of the no. Okay. And the reason we're going to get rid of the no is because, what does it mean?
Don't do something. Well, he doesn't know what it means, does he?
No.
I just thought that's just twigs.
He's got no idea what no means. All he sees is you saw it in the dishwasher and you keep saying no to him, and then you keep stroking him, and he's like, well, I quite enjoyed that, I'll do that again. So he's going to do it again, and then you're saying no to him, and then he's doing it again, and you're going round in a circle. So the problem actually isn't being addressed. So we're giving him a word that he doesn't understand, he doesn't know what it is, and then we're trying to get him to do something that he doesn't understand what we're trying to get him to do. Okay.
Don't mind me asking you this, because I am scribbling this down. If I forget anything, can I just ask? I can ask you again, or do I get any?
This is all recorded.
Oh, is it? Oh, okay. Oh no, I don't want to look at myself. What, you can see? What is it? Am I being recorded, or can you just hear me?
No, we can see you. I can see you as much as you can see me.
What, on the record thing?
Yeah, on the record, so you'll be able to see it back. You can just have the audio back if you just want to hear the audio.
Oh, that's good. That is good.
So you've got all that. So you don't need to take any notes if you don't want to. Some people do like to take the notes even though they'll have the recording, just because it helps your own memory. But it's fine either way.
It's good, because I'm not brilliant at remembering everything, and at least Neil can then watch it.
Yeah.
But that's good. That's brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. You might want to chop the first part off.
Watch it. That'll be his homework for them.
You have to chop the first part off.
Yes.
Okay. So no doesn't mean anything currently. So the reason I don't use no is because it doesn't mean anything. We use it in too many different circumstances, and we're not giving an alternative. So we're not saying don't do this, go and do this instead. We're literally saying no, stopping them, and then rewarding them. And Iona Daxi, if I said no to her, she'd be like, oh, give me some anyway, give me some anyway, give me some anyway, give me some anyway. And then you just end up saying no, 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 no all the time. So for humans as well, so think about like your upbringing, it's likely that no meant a variety of different things. Now, for our dogs, they just cannot retain that many different things that we're going to use no for. They don't have the capacity to. They're smart, but they're not that smart. Okay. So what I'm going to get you to do is so this is particularly for noises that he's barking at. So this is particularly for when the kids are outside, when there's, the neighbours outside, when he's running around barking at a noise that you might not be able to hear. Okay, so if he just has a sporadic bark, or if he comes over to the children, he starts taking on that role that he doesn't need to be doing. Okay, so at the dinner table, when you get your outside voice and then he starts intervening. Okay, so he doesn't need to be intervening. He needs to go and chill out and go and do his own thing. Okay, so the principle of this is called the 3 thank yous. Now, if I explain it at a window to start with, or use your patio door, it will make much more sense than what it does if I try and do it straight away with the chair. Okay, so your children are outside and they're playing, and Sydney runs over to the window and starts barking. So it's likely he's going to let out a kind of bark. So it's going to be a string of barks, not just the one bark, a string of them. But at some point he has to take a breath in. Okay, so he has to go. At that point, literally don't move, don't get up to him, don't give him any eye contact, just say thank you, really nice and lightly. Okay. If he stops and comes over to you, fine, brilliant. You've achieved what you wanted to, which is stop him barking and get him away from the window. The likelihood is he's not, and he's going to go for the second set of barks, so the string of barks. Whoa! Then he's going to take another breath. At that point, you're going to get up, you're going to go and stand in front of him, and you're going to be facing away from him. Okay, so you're going to have your back to him, but you're going to be looking out the window, and if it's your kids that are playing outside, you're just going to say thank you to the children, and then you're going to walk away. What you're looking for is that Sydney starts walking away with you. Okay, if he carries on and goes for that third set of barks, then you're going to look to be.
Sorry, it's
That's
distracting.
okay.
Someone's rang the doorbell.
Okay.
Stop. That's okay. Sorry, I apologise.
Okay. No, that's okay.
So you turn your back and look at the children and say no, thank you. So that's the second.
Yep. So you're just going to be saying thank you. Again, you're not going to give Sydney any eye contact. You're just going to walk away from him and sit down or do whatever it was that you were doing. So if you were sitting down, I don't know, ordering something online, then you'd go back to doing what you were doing and not pay him any attention. He's then likely to go for the third set of barks. On those third set of barks, he gets to go into timeout. Okay. Now, timeout is about away from the window, away from the doors, so that he's in a place that he can't practice that behavior. Come on, let's go. You can either pick him up or you can clip his lead on him and take him out, whichever you are more comfortable doing. Take him out into somewhere you can have a couple of minutes time out. And we're literally looking like up to 2 minutes of him being in timeout. And what we're looking for is the slightest glimpse that he is stopping barking. Okay, so this time, if he barks and barks and barks and barks and barks, as soon as he stops, then the stairgate gets opened slightly, the door gets opened wherever he's been placed into. So we're not looking for him to go to a bed or a crate or anything like that. We're literally looking for him to be away from the window, but safe and secure somewhere else. If he starts pushing towards the stairgate or towards the door, you're just going to close the door again. Okay, you're waiting until he's a little bit calmer before he then comes back out. If when you open the door, he goes straight back to the window and starts barking again, you go back to step 1. Okay, so thank you without moving. And to make it even easier for yourself, to make it very obvious, you can actually, if he's barking over there, if you look that way and say thank you over there, then he'll be like, I'm telling you, there's something going off over here. Why aren't you paying attention over here? Because what he's doing is alerting you. Okay. And then what you're doing is you're getting up and you're investigating. And then the third time you're saying, actually, Sydney, there's a consequence to your behavior. Okay, so we want you to be quiet and we're going to put you out of the room for you to have the experience of the consequence. So out you go. Thank you very much. So he's going to stay there maximum of 2 minutes and then you're going to let him back in. Happy with that?
Yep.
Yeah. Skeptical about it?
No, it's just different because we would use the word no, and obviously we'd be looking at him in front of him saying no. So to do it this way, yes, it's no. Be interesting to see how he responds.
So you can be as happy as you want with your thank yous, or you can actually be as angry as you want with your thank yous, because they're still going to come out really nicely. You can't say an unhappy thank you, even if you're using an outside voice. Whereas you can say a very unhappy no if you're really unhappy. Yeah. So the happy thank yous. Thank you. Thank you. You just can't, that voice change isn't there. So the likelihood is when you're saying thank you, because to us, thank you is actually quite a nice thing, that our body language is going to be nice as well. So when we're saying no, we're likely to get frustrated with saying no as well. And then because he's not listening, you're going to get more frustrated. And then he's going to pick up on that even more. Okay, so that's the first thing that I want you to practice. Thank you, time out.
Okay. So this is for when he hears next door, or he hears a dog or a noise that is this a noise that's only outside of the house, or is this for any noise that he hears in the house?
So to start with, you're going to practice just when he's doing it outside, just when this thing's outside, because then it will give you opportunity to practice. And then if he starts jumping at the table, so when you've got your outside voice inside, then you can say thank you, and you can direct him somewhere else. Yeah. So it just gives you a little difference of where you can actually deal with him. So if you say thank you, and then he goes off and takes himself off onto the sofa, he's moved himself away. Yeah. Happy with that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the first one. I know you mentioned at the beginning that he has his food in different places. When you're eating your dinner, he has his dinner somewhere else.
Yeah.
Does he have all of his meals that way, or has he got any left over?
So he has treats throughout the day, little treats. They just get thrown wherever, in the lounge, or in the kitchen, or but he sometimes asks for, he loves his chews. We only give him 1 or 2, but we have resorted into using these chews to keep him quiet when he has been barking, because it keeps him quiet. So that's what we've been doing. We don't want to overfeed him. But I've worked out that the Kongs, what we do is, I don't know if we've told you this, I don't think we have, but we actually freeze the Kong, the food. I soften it, put it in the Kong, and then freeze it so it lasts longer. And because they like to what's the word, work for their food.
Absolutely, they do. Yeah.
We thought we'll try this on the recommendation of one of the dog trainers. So that's what we do. If he has his sardines, he has it not in his. That's
mine going now.
Not in his cage. He has it in the bowl in the kitchen on the floor. Okay. So his chews, we do allow him to eat his chew in the lounge. He'll hold it between his paws on the carpet. Sometimes when we finished our dinner, he'll go and we open the cage and the gate for him to come out. He'll sometimes go and get his Kong and finish it off with us in the lounge. So
okay.
I don't think we haven't tried him with a Kong being with us in the same space, just because of the issues with him jumping up at Rico and the chair. As Neil told you about the blue chair, did he write? Because the notes, Neil started to type those out. That's why I'm saying, did he tell you? Sorry,
okay, I don't know about a blue chair. I know about
any sense. Neil started to write out the notes, the information notes, and I sort of went in and changed a few bits and added a few bits that he'd forgotten about. Did he? I can't remember if he put anything about.
I don't think you've got anything about blue chair. I think he did, but there is something about chair, which says,
Rico, he's got a little blue booster seat, and Sydney doesn't like this blue booster seat on the chair. So
okay,
I think he wouldn't go for his Kong, even if you put it in the lounge. He'd rather go and jump up at Rico. And because of his claws and he's jumping up, he has caught his leg before. So that's why we've separated.
Yeah.
Which I hope is the right thing to do.
Absolutely. I think you do, honestly, I think you're doing a really, really good job in terms of like the control and management. So the level of the control and management that you've currently got in place, I'm not going to be altering that, because you've got your children's safety comes first, followed by our safety, followed by Sydney's safety. Okay. I've seen you've got a stair gate up. The stuff that you've written on your client information. So we've got that he's being fed in a crate. And ultimately, if Rico was to run past him and he had a Kong, then he might think Rico's coming to take his Kong away from him. So carry on with what you're doing. So we don't have to have our dogs in the same room as us when we're eating. It's fine. It's fine that they're not near us. Okay. So if I explain around what I do with my dog, so she has her dinner in a couple of different, we use her meals as different things to do with her. So she sometimes has food spread onto a lick mat. So she will have that on our living, bear in mind that we haven't got children, so she'll have that on our living room rug, and then we've got a dining room nearby. So we have our dinner at the table and she has that, and she's entertaining herself over there. So it's exactly the same as what you're doing, but Sydney's just in his crate.
I've not heard of a lick mat. Oh, okay.
It's just like a silicone.
See, now our food bowl that we got has got nodules in it, so that it makes it slower for him.
Slow feed.
But
Yeah.
it's not. It doesn't slow him down that much.
And with these, the idea is that they lick. So you could use the same stuff that you're using in his Kong. So you could use his wet food, food which is wet rather than wet food, and then you could just spread that on. So when you start with the lick mat, if you've got a dog that is a little bit nervous, you would start with it in the middle. So you'd put the food in the middle and just let him take it. So it's not squashed in, so it's not too difficult. Because if it's too difficult, he'll give up and think it's boring, and then he'll be off. And then you can start squidging it in a little bit, and then before long you can then just squash it into the middle to start with. If we have it on the edges, if we had it either having the edges there, sometimes they can be tempted to dig them and lift them and start chewing. But we want to keep them just to lick in the middle, and that licking is similar to the chewing, and it will reduce his stress level down as well. So it may
one of those. That's good.
They're about between like £2 and £5.
Fine, yeah.
You can get all different ones. You can get ones that have got bigger. I don't know if you can see that. You can see the little bumps on it.
Yeah.
You can get like bigger ones as well. You can get like really defined squares and smaller squares.
Just something different then for him to.
Yeah.
Different way of him working for his food.
Yeah.
If you like.
Yeah, absolutely. So we use a lick mat. We use a Kong. So sometimes you'll have food in a Kong, and sometimes you'll have kibble, so biscuits. You'll have them just thrown out across the kitchen floor. Okay, so thrown out across the kitchen floor. Obviously, we don't shut a gate because we don't have children. But if we did, then our gate would be shut. So you'd shut your stair gate, and then you'd just let him search around the kitchen for his own dinner.
Yeah.
Okay, so that he is using his nose, and by using his nose, that's also bringing his stress level down. Yeah, does that make sense? Yeah, so just a few different things. And then the other one that we've started doing, which is quite a lot of fun really, is a shoebox with tissue paper in, with toilet roll middles, and putting some kibble in there, putting the lid on. And Chip she's quite a high level in terms of scent, but actually just letting him find his own dinner. So it might be that you just put a shoebox together, some cardboard in, and put his dinner in there, so that he's actually got to search for it and find it. So a sniffari, if you like, to find his food. Okay, and then these are things to reduce him down. So we're looking, if he's working up at this level, then we're looking to bring him back down to this level.
Yeah, we've got a couple of those interactive toys, you know, where they have to use their nose to push the things to get. We don't use it very often, but he has got that, so that could be something we could just leave down for him to change it up a bit, because we are tending to do the same thing with the Kong in the, putting it in frozen Kong.
And it'll just give him a little bit more. It may be that if he's being fed is his crate in the kitchen?
Yes.
And is his crate, do you shut your stair gate when he's being fed?
Yeah, so there's 2 gates. One, as you saw earlier, where the front door is, because I decided I didn't want a door there, because eventually when I have an extension, you want to be able to see out into the garden straight through from the front door. So there's not a door there, hence why there's a gate. And then there's a gate, but the door is open to the dining room bit, so he can see, because I don't like to lock him in completely. But
okay, so
but he gets locked in his cage while we're sort of going in and out, putting the dinner on the table, give him his Kong, so that we're free to do that without him jumping up and
Yeah, I love it. Really, really good control and management there. So when you're actually eating your dinner, so when you've got up and everybody's been served, and is he allowed out of his crate at that point? Has he got roam of the kitchen or not?
No, he stays in there, and he's still he's sort of working for his food because it's frozen.
Good.
He's quite happy. Then even after we finish dinner, probably about 5, maybe sometimes 10 minutes, you can hear him crying, and I know I need to let him out because he might need a drink, or he'll want to go outside, or he'll just want to. But what he does do is, as soon as you let him out, he then starts to jump up at the chairs and starts to sniff around for anything that's been dropped, I assume.
Yeah.
And then he starts to jump up at the chairs. So he does do that quite often.
And is that does he ever find anything?
Sometimes Rico will have dropped a few bits, but I try and clear up as much as I can.
Okay. And is the table cleared by the point that he's allowed out?
Yeah, there's never anything on the table.
Yeah, good stuff. So the reason that he'll be jumping and doing what he's doing, so going to the table sniffing around, is because if he's found something there previously, which the likelihood is that he will have done, and he will remember that. So the first time it happened, so Rico, being a little bit younger than what he is now, or a year younger, likely to have dropped something. Sydney's come in and gone, oh, this is a great place to hang out. I'm going to hang out around your chair even more. And if I hang around and jump up you, then actually I might get even more food, because even more food might fall off you for me to get.
Yeah.
So he's getting a reward when he's jumping up, when he's sniffing around the floor, and he goes, oh, I'll bank that. I'll use that later on. So
and
that's
now you've said that, because a way of getting him to stop him doing that, because he just goes out of control, and you're chasing him round the table, you can't get a hold of him, is to say, do you want some cheese, or do you want a Kong, or do you want a chew? Or you sort of panic because you want him to stop jumping up at Rico, so you're then doing whatever you can, rewarding him, really, aren't you, with food to get him out the way, which is not what we want. Hence why we now separate the two.
Yeah. So after dinner, I would keep is it possible to keep that stair gate shut that leads into the dining room? Is the dining room like in its own room?
So it goes in like a circle, if you like. So the lounge door opens, and then you go around the corner, and there's the gate to the kitchen, and then you've got the so it goes, you can walk around the whole, if you like, the whole area. But that's why we've got the 2 gates. But yes, we keep both gates shut, but the door is open, so you can see the dining room table from the kitchen.
So I would look to minimize Sydney's ability to get into the dining room, to do that sniffing around the floor, on the off chance that he might find something on the floor. Okay, so each time he finds something, he's going to remember that, and then every time that gate opens into that dining room, that's when he's going straight up here, excitement overload, and he's up on this bit because he's like, I'm going to find something, I'm going to find something, I'm going to find something.
Like, you can't open the gates quick enough. But then, so at what point after dinner, I mean, how long do we keep him in the kitchen? Because he's finished his Kong, we finished our dinner, he's crying because he wants to come out. And that is the first thing he does. He heads for the table and chairs. So when do we sort
Can you shut the door into the dining room so he can't get into the dining room?
No, it's part of the lounge.
Because it's part of the lounge.
Yeah, so
Okay.
we're in the lounge and it's all open. The lounge diner is open
Okay.
plan. So.
Okay. So what about having something else for Sydney to do in the lounge, which is away from? So I'm trying to think of something that's not compatible in terms of his sniffing around the table. So we need to be really, really mindful that if he's jumping up, to make sure that there's nothing left around for him to find, so that he gets bored of doing that, because there's nothing there, he's not finding anything. So eventually he just goes, I'm not doing this because I'm bored and I don't get anything. Okay, but giving him something else to do, either in the kitchen or in the living room with you. So maybe a little bit of his food which has been kept back and just throwing that onto the floor in the kitchen rather than in the dining room. So you're distracting him away from the dining room, and then he can come through once everything has been cleared and everything is, there's make sure that there's nothing been left around, including Nico carrying little bits around in his t-shirt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Yeah. Because every time he sees something every time he finds something that he's sniffing, that's going to encourage him to want to go back to that place, to sniff that place, to find something.
Yeah, he's always jumping up at all the chairs. And we thought at first, is it because they're new chairs and he's afraid of them? Or is he telling us, or is he associating the chairs with food? So he is, isn't he? He's associating the chairs with food.
Yeah, so that jumping, so he will have been rewarded at some point from jumping up there. Now, no, I'm not saying that you've given him food from the table, but if there's been any, especially around Nico, sorry, Nico, it's Rico, isn't it?
Rico, yeah, don't worry.
Rico, I keep calling him Rico.
He's an unusual name.
Inevitably, it's going to be from him where he's dropped food, and it's probably been around that blue booster seat.
And also because we're trying to get him away, say if we've forgotten to take the chair and he's jumping up, to get him away from jumping up at the chairs, we have chucked some food in the kitchen to get him away. So maybe he's, like you say, he's thinking, if I jump up at the chairs, I'm going to get fed.
And he's likely to be associating it in that area. So if we walk him back into the kitchen, come on, Sydney, let's go back into the kitchen. Come on, let's go. And then close the gate and then chuck him something on the floor, which is probably just going to be his biscuits, 3 or 4 on the floor, and then let him find those. Then you can go back and sort the rest of the table out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then we just need to make sure that so when dogs jump up, they're always jumping up for a reason. I'm not going to go massively into that today, otherwise we're going to be sitting here for hours, and I don't want either my head to explode or your head to explode with the amount of stuff that's going in. So I think for the time being, looking at the 3 thank yous. So when he does bark, use the 3 thank yous for noises to start with, and if he can see something outside, so a bird, the children playing, you sweeping with the brush, that kind of thing, the neighbour, anything else that that he barks at outside. It might even be like the dog barking, thank you. You're just alerting him he's alerting you and you're acknowledging him. Okay. With the meal times, I think your meal times sound really good in terms of the control and management that you've got going off. I would continue doing that. So he's being fed, he's safe, kids are safe, you're safe. It's just that tiny little bit at the end when everyone's finished the dinner that then he's like, right, I'm going to go and find something now. And that's almost a game for him. So we're just changing the place of that game by dropping some treats into the kitchen. And when I say treats, just use his food. Just drop some of his food onto the floor. So maybe 3, 4, 5 little just drop onto the middle of the floor. Obviously, making sure that the kids are not in the kitchen with you. Let him just go and find them himself. And that should hopefully sort that need for him sniffing the dining room floor. He may still go and have a big sniff around it. Or it may be that you use the stair gate. So if he's like, I'm dead excited to get out, it could be that you just use the stair gate nice and slowly and open it this much. Okay. If he pushes to try and get through it, just close the gate again. Okay. Get him to be settled, get him to be calm, reduce him right down so that he's either here or here.
Yeah.
And if he starts going crazy, then just take him back out again. Okay, so it's going to be reliant on repetition. All dog training is repetition based, and it's about that consistent repetition as well. So there's no point in you doing it and then Neil going, oh, it's all right, just let him have a sniff, or the other way around, and you going, oh, I'd be all right, just let him have a sniff today, let him hoover up for us, it's fine, because that instills into Sydney that that's what you want him to do. Yeah, happy with that?
Yeah. So what do I need to do? Do you set me you've set me this task. Do I need to film myself doing it, or do I do? Okay. What every time we do it?
Not every time. What I'd say is,
what we do.
yeah, so what I'd say is, like, take it in turns between you and Neil. Generally, what I'll do is I'll send you over a form which says that you will commit to X amount of training per day. So, I mean, with something like this, it's very difficult to put a time onto it. But next time there will be different things that we'll put into place. Okay, so what I would also like you to practice with Sydney is just to sit, a really nice, simple sit. Okay, and when he sits, he gets a reward. Yeah, and I want you to really, really practice that, because I'm going to use that for the excitable behavior at the door and jumping up, because that is not compatible with jumping up. So he can't be sitting and jumping at the same time. So he can only do one or the other.
He's not, I just let you know now, he doesn't sit. He doesn't really know sit.
Okay.
If you say sit, he
Okay.
doesn't.
Okay, I'll send you some stuff over to help you. That's
yeah,
okay.
You know, when you do the sit to when we was doing the puppy classes, he wouldn't do the sit. So yeah, it's not. No, if I said to him sit, he wouldn't sit.
Okay, so we're going to practice on teaching him sit. That's okay.
Yeah.
We're going to practice on teaching him sit. So I'll go through it with you, and then I'll send you over to I've got a couple of videos for each thing that we've gone through anyway, so you can have that. I'll send you this recording, but I'll send you the little exercises as well. So with the sit, literally don't ask for the sit to start with. Have a treat in your hand, and you're going to have the treat 2 to 5 centimeters away from his nose, and you're going to arc your hand up. When his head goes up, you're going to say yes and give him a treat. Okay, you're going to repeat that, and each time you're just going to push a little bit further back with your hand. And every time he goes further back, you're going to say yes and reward him. And then you're going to keep doing that. So he might just get to halfway. And then what will happen is his little back legs will start bending. Okay, so eventually, with your hand going over the top of his head, so as it's going over the top of his head, his bum will go to the floor, and then you can say yes, reward him, and then practice with his bum hitting the floor consistently 2, 3, 4 times, and then add the word sit. Okay, so he knows that what the action is. So the action is head up, bum down.
Yeah.
When his bum's on the floor, that's when you use sit.
Yeah.
Okay, and then have your hand signal. So use a hand signal. Whatever you want to use, you can use this. You can use whatever hand signal you want. I tend to use that because it's the way that I teach.
Yeah.
And as soon as I say this, then my dog knows to sit. Okay, and then what we can start doing is working on that. So if he can sit, and he's got a strong sit, you've got children, they can teach him to sit as well. The whole family can get involved in sit training. Okay, and for the kids, it might be that you start without treats in their hand, sit, and then they get a treat while he's still in that sitting position. I mean, he's an older dog, so he should be able to sit for a bit of a longer period rather than an 8-10 week old puppy.
He does do where you go down and he lays down like that. He does that, but he does standing to laying down. He doesn't do the sit.
Yeah, no, that's fine. So we'll get him to do a sit, nice and gently sit. Or it may even be, because you do down. If you ask him to down, does he go into the down position?
No, you have to do it with the treat, and you do that movement, and he pulls it down, and he knows that. So
okay, so yep.
Yeah. So
we'll teach him the sit, and then we'll get a strong sit, and then we can work on the jumping up and the rest of the barking as well. So there's various different things that are going to like intermingle. So with the sitting, if he doesn't know how to sit, then we can't ask him to sit when we come in the house.
No, he won't. Yeah, he won't. if you say sit, he won't know what that means.
Yeah, because he's up here, but B he doesn't know what it means anyway. So we need to teach him what it is first and then put it into practice.
I
Yeah.
wish I'd have done puppy classes with you, to be honest.
You'd be surprised how many people do.
So, how, sorry to ask so many questions. So
No.
it the next session? Is it just when I can get it booked on? Because I notice you've got, your spaces book up quite quickly.
Yeah.
Do I just book as I go along, or do I block book, or is it?
It really is up to you. So what we say is that obviously you've got the 8 weeks. If we're going to be kind of more than that, then it's not going to be a massive issue. But obviously the aim is that I'd look to be having another session with you within at least 2 weeks. Okay, so give or take a few days either side. And then if you want to block book every 2 weeks, that's fine. If you want because some of it is going to get a little bit more technical. Obviously, like this session, it's more about the consultation. It's more about me finding out exactly what it is that you're trying to do and giving you some bits to implement straight away. And then it will get more and more difficult because there'll be more and more things that go on top of these baseline things. Okay.
So you're happy to say a couple of weeks each time we see you? Yeah.
Yeah.
And is it half an hour? Are the next sessions an hour or half an hour? How long do they? Just fit it around work.
Yeah, I mean they're booked out for an hour and a half.
So an hour and a half. So when you say 8 weeks, it will be, if it's every 2, it's not 8 sessions, it's 8 weeks. Is that right? Or is it 8 sessions?
It's over 8 weeks, 4 sessions over 8 weeks.
4 sessions over 8 weeks. Okay. Yeah, that works. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I can sort that out.
Yeah. And then it's just so that you've got that space in between, because what I don't want to do is say, right, I'll see you next week. And then you go, oh, actually, we've not really had enough time to get any of that practiced, because you might not have done.
Yeah, that's it, because a week goes so quickly and
goes like that.
What we're doing.
Yeah.
And we're trying to fit in quite a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I completely get that and completely understand that. Then the only thing that I asked is if you want to cancel it or you need to change it, then just give us 72 hours. It's not a massive drama, but if then what happens is I'm able to then, if other people want to book in, they can see it on the calendar to then book in as well.
Do I go back to your original email to book another session, that same link?
Yeah, if you want to use that link, I will send you another one out with this video.
No, that's fine. I'll just use that.
So you'll get this, well, it should be this evening. You should get this video. You'll get the 3 thank yous. You'll get the sit. And then just a little breakdown of what we've gone through as well.
Okay, brilliant. Thank you.
Happy with the first session?
Yeah, very happy. Thank you.
Yeah, feeling confident?
Ish. No, there's a lot to take in. There's a lot to take in, but it's good to know that some of the things that we already do are okay. So we're not.
Honestly, it sounds like you kind of like you've got like a bit here and a bit here and a bit here and a bit here, and we just need to bring them all together. Yeah, with the addition of some little bits of training, but that's fine. We can sort that.
Brilliant. Thank you ever so much.
Okay, no worries, not a problem. You as well.
Thank you.
And I'll speak to you in a couple of weeks' time then. If you've got any issues in between time, then please drop me an email. Don't think, oh my God, this isn't working. I don't know what to do. It's not working. Just drop me an email. I am off for the rest of this week, but I will be back next week. So just give me a shout. It's fine. I'm around. I'm never too far. I'm certainly never too far away from my emails anyway.
Bless you. Thanks ever so much.
No worries. I look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. You take care.
Bye.
Speak soon. Bye.